What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to ARP in the morning. It's your brother Wise, man. I appreciate you guys pulling up. I hope all is well with each and every one of you guys, man. I hope you had a great, relaxing weekend. Not too stressful, low key, chill. I hope you did. Overall, I gotta say, weekend was pretty good. Didn't get into a whole lot over the weekend. Um, you know, thank you guys for the condolences to the Ravens. Another beatdown yesterday, although it was a lot closer than the week before last, but still a loss nonetheless. But hey, it is what it is, right? It is what it is, man. I appreciate you guys pulling up, man. Hit the like button for me if you haven't done so already. And if you have hit the like button, let me know what number you were when you hit that like button. Please let me know in the chat. That would be greatly appreciated. We are going to get the show started. We got a pretty good show. Got a multitude of things to get into today. I will try my best not to hold on to you too long, but we got some stuff to talk about, man. So appreciate you guys, man. Let me know what you guys got into, over the weekend. Anything fun? Was it low key? I know out here the temp is starting to drop, so it's a little cooler in the mornings, decent during the afternoon, and then later in the day, it definitely cools off. I made that mistake. I went to a high school football game on Friday. One of my old players, that I coach, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago at this point now. I think he's a senior in high school, and he had been out, injured or whatever, and this was his first game back. So his mom reached out to me and was like, hey, it's his first game back, if you want to go to the game. So I went to go support him. Played very well, scored a touchdown, plays running back, scored a touchdown, and he played very well. Very well. I was impressed with what I saw. So I may end up going to the game next weekend as well. It'll be pretty cool. They play at Morgan State next week. So we'll go and check them out. Yeah, it was solid, though. Solid. Let's show some love to my folks in the chat. What's going on, Lori Addison? Y'all make sure y'all follow Lori Addison's instructions. Says, sorry to hear about the Ravens yesterday. Why? Is this all right? 17-3 loss is not, a complete beatdown. But, when you can't get a tutty, especially when you're right there inside the 5-yard line, that's just a problem. It's pretty disgusting to say the least. But, Lori Addison says, happy Monday, and thank God the hostages in Israel are free. Please remember to hit the like button on your way in. Please hit that like button on the way in. And I'm looking forward. My wife, I'm almost for certain that my wife is doing an event today. My wife is a photographer, owns a photography company, and she does a lot of work, out here, in the DC area, working with the different synagogues and rabbis. She was at the last few gatherings that they had when hostages were released. Typically they would come back to the States, and, there would be, pretty nice, welcome home and things of that nature. They take care of those people. So my wife has been there to capture, that, which is pretty cool. So I'm looking forward to hearing what she has to say, when she gets home today. All right. What's going on, Hadassah? How you doing this morning? Appreciate you pulling up. And what's up, B? How you doing this morning, sisters? Good to see you. What's up, Zephyr? What's up, Nanny? How you doing this morning? It's good to see you this morning. Appreciate you all pulling up. We got Marla in the building. Shout out to you. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. And is that Jamie Costas? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. What's up, Omega? How you doing? Grace and peace to you as well. We got David Harrell in the building. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. What's up, cool Ramon? Appreciate you. What's going on, Miss Katz? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. We got Donna King in the building. Shout out to you. Appreciate you pulling up this morning, Miss Donna. What up, Nelly? How you doing this morning? We got Marcy Richards in the building. Shout out to you. What's going on? Appreciate you all pulling up this morning. So we got up in here early. We got Donald Lovejoy in the building. Shout out to you. What's up, Scott Jung? How's it going this morning? Appreciate you pulling up. What's going on, Hunter? How you doing this morning, brother? Appreciate you pulling up. Hunter always comes through with the Bible verse. So we want to read that. Helps us to get the day started and set the tone of the show. Today's verse comes out of Isaiah chapter 47, verse 4. And it says, our Redeemer, the Lord Almighty is his name, is the Holy One of Israel. Thank you very much, Hunter. Appreciate you coming through with the Bible verse this morning. What's up, Amethyst Angel? Grace and peace to you as well. Appreciate you pulling up. We got Aon in the building. C. Cook in the building. Shout out to you. What's up, Angela Montgomery? How you doing this morning? It's good to see you. Hope all is well up there in New Jersey. What up, DM Charter? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Thank you very much. What's up, Papa Died? We got Scott 818 in the building. Shout out to you. We got Amber Young in the house. Shout out to you. What's up, Sandra Schwinky? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Shout out to my brother Malachi with the $5 super chat. Says greetings from Bloomington, Illinois, ARP family. I'm almost Atlanta bound. Minneapolis seems to be, changing for the better. So pray God's will be done for them. Thank you, Malachi. Appreciate you, man. Thank you very much. What's up, LJ Taylor? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. We got Steve Edmister in the building. Big game today, Steve. Falcons versus the Bills. It's an interesting ball game. Interesting ball game. You make sure you pull up tomorrow, okay? What's up, Sugar Shane? How's it going? Mark Galvin, appreciate you pulling up this morning. Thank you guys very much. What up, Jess Major? Appreciate you pulling up this morning as well. Thank you all. Hit the like button for me if you haven't done so already. What's up, Tamika? How's it going this morning? Appreciate you pulling up. We got Linda Valentine in the building. Shout out to you. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Thank you very much. Mr. Largy in the building. BWR in the building. Shout out to you. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Who else we got up in here early? What's up, AK Bauer? Pennsylvania in the building. Shout out to you. What's going on? All right. I don't know if I mentioned it, but what's going on, Melissa? How you doing? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Make sure I didn't miss anybody. All righty. We're going to get things kicked off. If you haven't done so already, man, hit the like button for me. Appreciate you pulling up. What up, Doctor? Is it Nancy? Appreciate you. What's up, Eric Plummer? It's good to see you, man. Hope all is well with you, man. Grace and peace to you, brother. What up, Lou B. Fishing? Appreciate you all pulling up this morning. And we're going to get the show started. But before we do so, got to let you know that today's show is brought to you by our sponsor, Chapter. Now, you guys should know and be well aware that Medicare annual enrollment is here. It's right around the corner. Starts in a couple of days, October 15th through December 7th. And you already know what that means. That means that you guys are probably receiving a flood of mailers. There's nonstop robocalls, everyone promising the best plan. But here's the truth. Medicare plans change every year. Some disappear entirely. If you don't review your coverage, you could lose your doctor and end up paying way more than you should. And that's where Chapter comes in. They're the only company that reviews every Medicare plan nationwide, making sure that you're on the one that truly fits you. On average, Chapter saves people $1,100 a year. And the best part is it's fast and it's free. We're talking about a quick 20-minute review, no pressure, no upselling. And if you're already on the right plan, they're going to let you know. And if you're not, they'll help you switch. Simple as that. So don't wait until the deadline sneaks up on you. Make sure you reach out to Chapter today. Give them a call, 504-506-0860. That's 504-506-0860. Protect your health, protect your wallet, and get the peace of mind you deserve. Y'all make sure y'all go reach out to Chapter, man. Thank you guys very much. And let's get the show started. Hit the like button.
Your background.
Yes, sir.
It's the moment a convicted child killer is put back behind bars.
What's going on?
Ronald Exantis was arrested Thursday in Florida amid a national outcry over his release just 10 days ago. The 42-year-old maniac brutally stabbed to death 6-year-old Logan Tipton during a home invasion outside Lexington, Kentucky in 2015. He claimed he had a psychotic break and could not remember the murder. A jury found him not guilty of murder by reason of insanity, but sentenced him to 20 years for assault. Incredibly, good behavior earned him an automatic early release.
Focus on getting that small handful of violent criminals off the street
either into psychiatric institution where they belong or else into prison, period.
Exantis turned up 750 miles away in Ocala, Florida, but he failed to register as a felon within 48 hours as required. Sheriff's deputies moved in, and get this, he was living next to an elementary school.
When somebody does something that violent, that vile, that evil, why would they be allowed back? We have a hard time as voters, as citizens, as human beings, understanding that.
The slain boy's sister Coral and father Dean told me about that night of horrors when the killer broke in as the family slept and targeted little Logan.
I was holding him in my arms, and he took a final breath and closed his eyes, and he was gone.
Knowing Logan's killer is back in custody again is some comfort for his grieving family. Logan would be 16 years old now. What would you be doing with him?
Just a hug would be nice right now from him.
Wow. We got to get into it real fast. We got to get into it. We talked about this last week. And I'm sure you guys remember Ronald Exantis, right? I'm sure you guys remember we discussed it last week. This is the man who stabbed a 6-year-old child. Logan Tipton to death during a 2015 home invasion. He was found not guilty by reason of insanity for the homicide, served just 7 years on assault charges, and walked free 13 years early under Kentucky's reentry law. Well, today we can say he is back behind bars. Exantis was arrested in Florida after outrage over his early release, even drawing attention from the White House press secretary Caroline Leavitt, who confirmed the administration was reviewing how a convicted child killer ended up free after barely serving a third of his sentence. And after his release on October 1st, Exantis moved to Florida, but failed to register as a felon and was living next to an elementary school. Make that make sense. So he gets out, moves to Florida, moves near where children are. Yeah, that sounds right. That sounds about right. Now, I got to say this, deputies, they did act fast. They arrested him, without bond, and charged him with violating probation. Marion County Sheriff spokesperson Paul Bloom summed it up best. There's been a real loss of common sense in the justice system. And I got to say, I agree with him 1,000%. 1,000%. And unfortunately, this isn't isolated. It ties right into another case in New York, and we're going to get to that in a second. But I want to share this with you briefly. Give me 1 second here. I hate when that happens. This screenshot right here, I want you guys to see it because this comes from, what is the name of the outlet? This is First Coast News. This is a piece from them, from their article that they put out about this. And, I don't know if you guys can read it. I hate when that happens. Goodness gracious. All right, so it says, at the news conference, the sheriff's office public information officer, Paul Bloom, said that there's a loss of common sense in the judicial system in some places when talking about Exantis's early release. And yeah, he's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. I'd say he's 100% right. The parole board denied his release on September 30th, but a state law kicked in with so-called good time credits, forcing the Department of Corrections to let him go anyway. This makes absolutely no sense at all. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis called him out on X. I don't know if you guys had a chance to see the governor from Florida, but he puts out there, unbelievable that this scumbag was let out of prison in Kentucky after serving a mere fraction of his sentence for murdering a 6-year-old kid. Well, and we got to correct that because that's not actually why he was in prison, right? He didn't get convicted of the actual homicide. He didn't get convicted of that. That's not what he was convicted of. He was actually only convicted of the assaults, which that in itself, it just doesn't make sense. I don't want to rehash the story because it's just, It's heartbreaking, but it's also ridiculous, right? How do you convict a guy of 2 assaults? He gets 2 consecutive 10-year sentences, but you say that he is insane when it comes to killing the kid. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. Now, Attorney General James Uthmeyer is working to send him back to prison. And even Elon Musk, he weighed in, and he stated that this will save innocent lives. That's what Elon Musk said. And hey, the dude already has a track record. Now, for the Tipton family, who spent nearly a decade fighting for Logan's Law, this arrest feels like progress. The proposed law would require anyone found not guilty by reason of insanity for a violent crime to be held indefinitely in a maximum security mental facility, with reviews only happening alongside victims' families and no release until experts confirm they're no longer a threat. I mean, it's the kind of safeguard that could have kept the Xanthus locked up and given families like the Tiptons real peace of mind. But Kentucky isn't alone. Early release loopholes are letting violent offenders slip right through the cracks all across the country. And now we're seeing the same pattern unfold in New York with the 22-year-old Justin Lee from Queens Village. I don't know if you guys have heard about this one, but yeah, this is interesting to say the least.
Right, a Queens man is behind bars again after attempting to rape a young girl for the 3rd time. This time around, he's accused of following a 12-year-old in a Coney Island building and assaulting her on Saturday. News 12's Morgan Scott spoke with residents, questioning why he was even free to roam the streets to begin with.
The arrest of 22-year-old Justin Lee for attempting to rape a 12-year-old girl in Coney Island is taking the community by surprise.
It raises a lot of alarms because the people living here, like I said, pretty much know each other.
Police say Lee, who lives in Queens, followed the victim into an elevator, and when the 12-year-old attempted to exit, he pulled her arm and pinned her against the wall as he put his hands on her private areas over her pants.
Well, I'm really outraged.
Late September.
Yeah, this is pretty horrifying, man. So a 22-year-old man was just arrested again, with again being the key word here. Again, after police say he followed a 12-year-old girl into an elevator in Coney Island, pinned her, groped her over her clothes. I mean, that in itself is horrifying. But the part that should make every single person furious is the fact that this wasn't the first time. In late September, this same individual was arrested for attacking other girls, a 13 and a 15-year-old, in separate incidents on this same day in Flatbush. I want to continue with the clip, though.
The 22-year-old was arrested for attacking a 13-year-old and a 15-year-old girl in 2 separate incidents on the same day in Flatbush. And residents say it's been one time too many.
I am one who believes in and back the idea of changing the system. Somebody jumps a turnstile is not the same thing as somebody who attempted to rape someone. If somebody is arrested for doing something or attempting to do something so heinous, I don't think they should be let out too quickly.
The NYPD is asking anyone who may have been a victim of this man on your screen to please come forward.
Now, let's be clear. The idea behind bail reform, stopping people from sitting in jail over small nonviolent offenses, it sounds fine in theory, but in practice, it's been a disaster. Let's just call it what it is, man. It's been a disaster because what counts as nonviolent depends entirely on the prosecutor. It's subjective. When you elect DAs who downcharge everything, violent predators look like low-level offenders. And once that label's applied, judges can't hold them, even when everyone knows that these individuals are dangerous. And then when tragedy strikes, the same politicians just shrug and say, hey, that's not what we intended. Intent doesn't protect 12-year-old children. Let's just call her what she is. She's a child in an elevator. Ignoring small crimes create space for the big ones. That's just like I was talking about yesterday out in Memphis. A lot of people up in arms because they're pulling people over for, no registration, suspended driver's license, just random small acts, of crime, essentially. But what people don't understand is that small things lead to big things. And sometimes someone will get pulled over for something small because they're not thinking, because most criminals, unfortunately, they're not the most intelligent people in the country. They'll get pulled for something small and they'll have dope in the car, illegal guns in the car. So a minor traffic stop could actually turn into a big bust. Let's just keep it real. When cops used to stop fare jumpers, they'd find people with open warrants and weapons. Enforcing the small stuff kept bigger crimes from actually happening. But now prosecutors refuse to prosecute. Judges' hands are tied, and predators, they just roam free under the banner of quote unquote reform. And the same people who yelled defund the police now tell us the attacker is a victim of poverty. I can't get with that, man. Being a predator isn't poverty. Someone that's a predator doing what this young man has been accused of doing, that ain't got nothing to do with the fact that the dude is hungry. Groping a child, isn't some form of inequality. It's what you would call evil. And the fix isn't complicated either. Charge real crimes as real crimes. Simple as that. Restore judicial discretion to hold dangerous offenders. Don't just let them free. And enforce the small stuff so predators lose their cover. And if you care about justice, start by protecting the innocent, not excusing the guilty, because at the end of the day, the question isn't political, it's moral. Whose safety comes first, the predator or the child's or the victims? I mean, this is insanity. It is insanity what is happening. And they always trying to lump everything into, they committed this crime because they're impoverished. Man, stop it. Stop it. I'm sure a lot of you guys in here have been poor before. I'm sure. And it didn't make you want to go and do some of the heinous acts that we hear about on a week-to-week basis. It just doesn't make you do that. Now, if you told me somebody was hungry, they were poor and they went and, stole a steak out of the local grocery store. Okay, I'll give you that. Maybe they jumped the fare. Maybe they skipped out on a cab or something along those lines. Okay. But broad daylight shootouts, we can't blame that on poverty, man. Doing what this youngin was doing, stalking and attacking young girls, I can't put that on poverty. Nah, this dude's just got a problem. Seriously. Now, in other news, I want to move on because I want to talk about the shooting in Milwaukee that's got the usual suspects in the media and activist crowd tripping over themselves to cry police brutality before the facts even hit the pavement. Only for the victim's own family to step up and shut it all down with a dose of raw, unfiltered truth. And we're talking about 26-year-old Elijah Wilkes, who was gunned down last week, Thursday, October 9th, near the West Mill Road and North 47th Street after a fender bender escalated into tragedy. Now, from the jump, graphic aftermath video hit social media. Wilkes on the ground, off-duty cop with gun drawn, and boom, the outrage machine, it revved up. Another black man executed by the thin blue line, right? But after reviewing the full body cam and the dash cam footage, even Wilkes' own family came out and said, no, the officer's actions were justified. And we'll get to that in just a second. But first, let's take a look at what actually went down.
How does a minor accident change into a deadly force situation? Unacceptable. We have to be better than this.
If it was an accident, man, you could have did something other than pull your gun out.
Tensions are high after a minor traffic crash led to a shooting between an off-duty police officer and a 26-year-old man. This all unfolded this morning near 49th and Mill Road. Police say the officer opened fire after the man pulled out a gun, then hit the officer in the face with the weapon. The man who died is Elijah Wilkes. Family members pushed back on MPD's account of what happened. Mary Jo Ola tells us what police and Wilkes' family had to say.
Emotions were high in Milwaukee Thursday after a fatal shooting. Milwaukee police say that a 40-year-old off-duty officer was involved in a minor crash with another car while heading into work. Chief Jeffrey Norman says as the two drivers got out to assess the situation, the 26-year-old driver pulled out a gun.
That subject proceeded to strike the off-duty officer in the face with his firearm. The off-duty officer drew his department-issued firearm, and the two individuals exchanged gunfire, and the subject was struck.
Family members identified the 26-year-old killed as Elijah Wilkes. They say he was getting ready to head to a relative's funeral at the time. The family disputes the police account after they say witnesses approached them.
I wanted to know, why did you kill him? Why did you shoot him that many times? What was the reason? You know what I mean? Over a car accident.
One woman says she was on the phone with Wilkes when this unfolded.
Somebody hit the car. He got out. He asked him, was he cool? And then all you heard was gunshots and get on the ground. You no longer heard Elijah say anything.
The police union says that the officer had injuries to his face. He has been with MPD for 21 years. Chief Norman says a gun was recovered and that video of the incident will be released according to standard operating procedures. Surrounding the crash and whether the officer identified himself remain under investigation.
And this is a story that happens too often in our community here. How does a minor accident change into a deadly force situation? Unacceptable. We have to be better than this.
The West Allis Police Department.
All right, so according to police reports, an off-duty Milwaukee police officer was driving to work early Thursday morning when he got into a minor crash. This was a minor fender bender. This was nothing to, really jump out and go crazy over, right? The officer and the other driver, 26-year-old Elijah Wilkes, stepped out of their vehicles to assess the damage. But at that point, things escalated quickly. Police say Wilkes pulled out a gun, struck the off-duty officer in the face with it, and that's when the officer drew his own firearm and fired several shots. Elijah Wilkes was killed at the scene. From there, emotions exploded. Family and friends rushed to the site in disbelief, saying this couldn't possibly be the Elijah that they knew. His loved ones described him as soft-spoken, family-oriented, and someone who wasn't in the streets. One woman even said she was on the phone with him during the crash, that she heard the accident. She heard him ask the officer if he was okay, and then heard nothing but gunfire. To them, this was another case of unnecessary police violence. They demanded to know why it took bullets to resolve what was, at the core, just a really simple run-of-the-mill fender-bender car accident. And for a brief moment, it looked like we were headed down the path, or that same path that we've seen time and time again. The one where facts get lost in the noise, where headlines turn tragic situations into political narratives before the evidence is even out. But here's where things take an unexpected turn. When the police reviewed the footage from the officer's dash cam and showed it to the Wilkes family and their attorney, everything changed. The family's attorney came out and said something that we almost never hear in these kinds of cases. He said that the shooting was justified. I want you guys to hear from him.
TJ Dysart is covering the big story for us tonight at 10. And TJ, the family attorney, describing what they saw in that video today.
That's right, Blake, telling us that that video came from the off-duty officer's personal dash camera. Now, at a press conference, he got into detail describing the video, saying the officer did what he was trained to do.
Once we got an opportunity to actually see the video, there weren't many questions.
One day after an off-duty Milwaukee police officer shot and killed 26-year-old Elijah Wilkes, Wilkes' family and their attorney went before the cameras.
I don't think I've ever come before and did a press conference and said this, but we will acknowledge that we do believe that this officer-involved shooting was justified.
He made a decision that he should not have made, and that's just something we have to live with.
Milwaukee police showing Wilkes' mother and attorney B. Ivory Lamar dash camera video from that off-duty officer's personal vehicle Friday, showing the moments before Wilkes' death. It all started with a minor car accident near 49th and Mill Road Thursday morning.
He kind of aggressively maneuvered into this left lane and essentially cut off the off-duty officer at that point.
The pair pulled over, and in describing the video, Lamar says Wilkes got out of the car and pulled a gun.
He does slap the off-duty officer with the firearm, after which the video does depict Elijah pointing the firearm at the off-duty officer. The off-duty officer did respond, what we believe, in accordance with his training, and did fire off several shots.
The family's attorney says it's unclear to him if Wilkes ever shot his gun.
I don't recall specifically seeing an exchange of gunfire. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but I did see him point the gun in the officer's direction for sure.
That's my only sibling, my only brother. My brother was all I got.
Wilkes' family grieving, but recognizing the consequences of his decision.
It could have been any one of us or any one of our kids, because we all are one seat away from making the wrong decision.
Who pulls out a gun for a fender bender? Who does that? Who pulls out a pistol over a fender bender, man? I'm sure plenty of you guys have, gotten to a fender bender and was upset. Maybe you were a little startled, a little shaken up. But I'm almost for certain you ain't pulling your weapon out. Seems like it was completely unnecessary. Completely unnecessary. Now, I got to give it to this family. I got to give the family real credit. Their response, it was rare and it was powerful. They didn't, try to twist the story or blame racism or the police or the system. They just simply said, hey, this young man made a bad decision. And that bad decision cost him his life that day. And that kind of honesty is almost unheard of in today's age. It really is. Now, I will say this, the lawyer, watching the actual full press conference, it looked like he was in pain. It was painful for him to say, hey, the shooting was justified and this young man made a poor choice and made a poor decision. It looks like he did not want to have to say that. Now, I don't know. I don't know this individual. I don't know, if he was thinking that this might be, his pole vault into, the public sphere. This was, an opportunity for him to come up on a big bag. Who knows? But I wasn't expecting for him to put a smile on his face, but the way he came across like he was disappointed that the evidence showcased what it showcased. That's what it looked like to me. I could be wrong and I could be reaching, but I do appreciate the family. I appreciate the family coming out and saying, hey, my brother, my son, my nephew made a poor decision. Made a poor decision. And that decision cost him his life. We talk about it all the time on this channel that, every day, man, you get a chance and a choice, right? You get to choose to do whatever it is that you want to do. You don't get to choose your consequences, though. You don't. But I will say that the kind of honesty that we heard from those people, is somewhat unheard of today. Because usually, before the facts are even clear, activists swarm, hashtags trend, and the media rushes to label it an unarmed black man shot by the police. And it will run on every major platform for the next week or two until the actual footage comes out. Now, I do want to say this. Shout out to the Milwaukee Police Department for getting the video over to the family immediately. They had 48 hours to do so. They said that the footage was given to the lawyer for the family to review within 24 hours. So shout out to them for being on top of this. And can we say that we appreciate the body cams? Can we say that? Can we say that we appreciate the body cams and the dash cam so we can actually get the truth without people burning down the city for something that may be a lie? Seriously, I appreciate the dash cams, the body cams. And honestly, I think that citizens should ride around with some form of, dash cam on their car. Just protection across the board. So therefore, we get the footage. There's no need to speculate. Just look at the footage. Seriously, one of my best friends is a police officer. And that's one of the things that I concern myself with. He's a husband. He has 3 children. And I tell him all the time, I was like, bro, if it's got to be them or you, it's got to be them, bro. Seriously. You have to live. You got something to live for. And I don't think people really think about that in reference to the police. They're, friends, husbands, sons, their fathers. I don't think people think about the police in that manner. And here it is for something random. This young man pulls his pistol out, smacks the police with it in the face, and pointed the weapon at him. Completely unnecessary. Completely unnecessary. So, I appreciate the body cam footage. I appreciate it. I'm surprised it took us this long to get there, to be honest with you. But, once the body cam footage drops, the story often looks different than it was initially reported, right? Showing officers reacting to real threats, not imaginary ones. And ironically, the same push for body cameras and transparency that BLM demanded is now unraveling many of their own narratives. In this case, the family saw the footage, faced the reality, and didn't chase the headlines or the lawsuits. They said, this young man, he made a bad decision. And he absolutely did. He made a bad decision. And that's what I would call accountability. And that is something that our country desperately needs. Because if you pull a gun on an officer, you're gambling with your life. But the crazy thing is that what if this wasn't an officer? This dude was off duty. What if this wasn't an officer? What if this was just a random citizen out there that got into a fender bender? You're going to pull your gun on a random citizen out there that ain't got nothing to do with nothing? And now this individual can't defend himself. Maybe they're not carrying, or maybe it's a citizen on citizen type situation. I mean, this is ridiculous. The truth is this, though. Body cams aren't protecting the public from the police as much as they're protecting the police from false accusations. Let's just call it what it is. The cameras don't lie. And more often than not, they're revealing the chaos, the danger, and the split-second decisions that the activists tend to leave out. So I want to say respect to the Elijah Wilkes family. They showed grace and truth in this tragedy. And I'm sure they are going to miss this young man. I'm sure they are. That's their family. Regardless of, if this individual was in the wrong or not, that is still their family. And I'm sure there was probably something good that they loved about this youngin'. But for the rest of us, the lesson is simple. We got to stop rushing to outrage and let's slow down, take a beat, and wait for the facts. Wait for the facts. Real justice doesn't come from slogans. It comes from honesty, accountability, and the courage to face the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. So yeah, that kind of honesty from the Wilkes family is exactly what America needs. That's exactly what America needs. Facing facts, even when they hurt, to build trust and prevent more tragedy. But out in California, it's the exact opposite. I don't know if you guys heard, but Governor Gavin Newsom just spent the weekend quietly signing a pile of radical bills. Most of them late, at night to dodge the backlash. And we're talking laws that let almost anyone pull a kid from school with a fake form, censor hate speech. They're censoring hate speech online at the state's discretion, hiding gender transitions from parents, forcing insurance to cover experimental surgeries and to protect doctors who break laws out of state. And while he's busy doing all of that, California is sitting on a $68 billion deficit. And after burning through a $100 billion surplus, families are struggling. Businesses are fleeing. Businesses are fleeing the state. And the state's answer is more control, less accountability, and zero common sense. I want to give you guys a breakdown. This is from Melanie King. Shout out to B. She sent this over to me yesterday. And I wanted to add this in. Melanie King's breaking down, what it really means for Californians. I want to bring this in here because this is the video from Melanie King. But there is some craziness going on. Seriously, in California.
You need to prepare yourself for. AB 495, completely unnecessary bill that helps no one, but puts all children in danger by allowing just about anybody to fill out a caregiver authorization affidavit and come snatch a kid from school. All schools, public, private, charter, or otherwise, need to prep for this by making sure they have updated emergency contact info for all students.
I want to say this. We covered AB 495, I don't know, maybe 2 months ago, on the channel. We released it as a separate video and people were upset. They didn't even know that this is something that had been presented to be voted on. Yeah. This is crazy. Let this thing keep going.
SB 177 would get around the First Amendment's editorial discretion and Section 230 to slap $1 million pop fines on platforms for content the state would determine to be inciting. SB 59 seals sex marker changes for minors and adults, fining anyone revealing those records, even a parent who's against it. 1084 will expedite birth record sex marker change petitions to 6 weeks, disallow objections to those petitions. Parents won't be allowed to object to their own child's petition if the only reason is that change. SB 418 will disallow insurance carriers from refusing to provide sex-rejecting interventions. They'll be forced to protect gender identity, whatever it might be, and furry surgeries will be covered. SB 497, protecting...
Can somebody in the comment section explain to me what a furry surgery is? What the heck is a furry surgery? What the heck is that? Can somebody explain that to me?
Those who help kids cut off reproductive body parts or sterilize them. It blocks out-of-state subpoenas and tracking of the number of females being placed on testosterone. AB 82 further expands address confidentiality to gender-affirming doctors. Publishing info about them will land you in court, which violates the freedom of press and speech. It would even protect doctors who violate their home state laws. AB 727 requires Trevor Project number on every student's ID and allows unmonitored access to chat rooms with adult themes. AB 1487, that would expand the transgender Variant and Intersex Wellness Reentry Fund to the tune of $14 million, basically throwing more money at programs supporting transgender, gender variant, and intersex people who've been in prison.
Wow. What? Furry surgery? Oh man, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Another pile of nonsense coming out of California. Let's start with AB 495. Let's start there. We talked about this about a month or so ago. This is the so-called kidnapping bill. It lets practically anyone fill out a caregiver affidavit and walk a child right out of school. No parent signature, no ID check, no verification, nada. Public, private, charter, doesn't matter. They claim it's about flexibility, but it's basically a trafficker's dream. Basically a trafficker's dream. I mean, this is insanity. You don't have to have it notarized, nothing. You don't have to go to a court and have a judge say, hey, this is good, nothing. Just print the form off of the state or the county website, fill it out. If you have the children's information and have their parents' information, which really not difficult to obtain, you can literally go snatch any kid. And the administrators at the school, they are not allowed to ask any questions. They're not allowed to ask the kid, do you know this individual? They're not allowed to ask, this individual, what's your relationship to the child or to the parent? They're not allowed to ask any questions. Excuse me. And you as a parent, if your kid does get taken, you can't sue the school system and you can't sue the state of California. If something happens, I can't even say if, when something happens, when a kid gets snatched, you can't sue the state or the school board. This is insanity. Insanity. Golly, man. Oh my goodness. Then you have SB 177, the censorship hammer. I mean, it guts online free speech by finding platforms like X or Facebook up to $1 million per post that the state labels misinformation, especially if it touches either the alphabet community or civil rights topics. Platforms have 72 hours to delete or flag it, then they must report to the Attorney General. California just turned big tech into Big Brother, essentially. And the gender bills, they're even worse. They're even worse. SB 59 seals gender change records, even from parents. AB 1084 speeds up legal sex changes to 6 weeks and blocks parental objections. SB 418 forces insurance to cover all gender-affirming procedures, while SB 497 shields doctors from out-of-state subpoenas. AB 727 even puts up the Trevor Project hotline with unmonitored adult chat features on every student ID. And just to top it off, AB 1487 throws $14 million at reentry programs for trans ex-cons. All this while California drowns in $68 billion in debt after burning through a $100 billion surplus. I mean, families are fleeing, schools are collapsing, and Newsom's priority is handing the state more control and parents less of a voice in the autonomy of their children's lives. This is insanity. This is flat out insanity.
I'm about to make an announcement no other governor in California history has ever made, and I would argue no governor in American history has ever made. Today, we're announcing a $75.7 billion budget surplus.
Governor Gavin Newsom has come out with the revised state budget proposal. Revised because the state has a lot more money to spend. The state surplus is now almost $100 billion.
No other state in American history has ever experienced a surplus as large as
an eye-popping nearly $100 billion.
But that number was not the number.
It was just 6 months ago that Governor Gavin Newsom announced the state's historic $97 billion surplus.
California faces a big budget deficit.
There's a big disagreement about just how big California's budget deficit really is.
Governor Newsom says the state is billions deeper in the hole than expected.
I imagine that's going to be fundamentally a question.
So far, the state is short $7 billion.
California's budget, the state faces a new $12 billion deficit.
Budget deficit of $25 billion. It could be in for a $25 billion budget
State's
deficit.
$31.5 billion problem.
California's budget deficit has grown to nearly $32 billion.
So the state now faces a $39 billion budget deficit.
A record budget deficit of about $68 billion.
Gavin Newsom said he will declare a budget emergency. The state is coming up billions of dollars short.
And how does this happen after the state announced a nearly $100 billion surplus in just the last cycle?
This is all because of money mismanagement by the Democrats and Governor Newsom.
On October 7th, up to 23 million Californians will begin to benefit from the nation's largest state tax refund, some $9.5 billion.
Now, the shortfall was found to be much greater than expected, adding more than $9 billion
Some $9.5 billion.
to the already projected deficit.
The first round of these payments, up to $1,050, will be direct deposited to Californians. Boy, I'd love to do that. It's helping with rising costs from, well, the grocery store to the gas pump. I care about what they care about.
You know, these numbers, it's really hard to wrap your mind around. They're really big and they're really bad.
We're doing our best to help offset rising costs. Visit taxrefund.ca.gov to see how much you'll get and when.
Well, the governor is pointing the finger at President Trump.
Best to describe this as the Trump slump.
This is the worst outlook the state has had since the Great Recession.
How can he run for president?
That's the question that everybody should be asking. How does this dude plan to run for president? Seriously. How can Gavin Newsom even think about running for president when California is collapsing under his watch and he just signed into law some of the most diabolical bills known to man in the United States of America? How? I mean, this dude went from bragging about $100 billion surplus to which was the biggest in the United States history, to a $68 billion deficit in less than 2 years. The billion-dollar question is, where did the money go? While families struggle with 101% higher PG&E bills, 7 rate hikes in 2 years, and the highest cost of living in the nation, Newsom's busy signing bills that let strangers pick up kids from school, force insurance companies to fund experimental surgeries on minors, and censor online speech. Meanwhile, the state spending $9.5 billion on healthcare for illegal immigrants, $14 million on reentry programs for trans ex-cons, and cutting $250 million from preschool programs for disabled children. All while suing farmers for using water to grow food. You can't make this stuff up, man. You cannot make this stuff up. And then there's the SB 771, the censorship Trojan horse. It doesn't ban words, it pushes algorithms that show the wrong content. It treats engagement as endorsement, turning ranking functions into moral agents. That's not regulation. That's what you would call digital thought policing. And all this comes as the economy tanks, taxes rise, Hollywood empties out, and people are fleeing the state in droves. Now, Californians, if you're going to leave the state, leave your politics in the state of California. Don't move. Don't move to places that are sane and make them just as insane as the place you left. Seriously. Newsom had the nerve to get out here and blame Trump, but let's be real. This is what happens when you choose ideology over infrastructure, activism over accountability. The surplus vanished in the handouts and rail projects that went nowhere. Businesses are leaving, schools are failing, and parents are being sidelined by their own government. Californians, man, it is time to push back. Because if this is what leadership looks like, America can't afford it on a national scale. Seriously. And last but not least, I want to move into something that, has been sweeping the nation in a remarkable way. I want to do that. It's been sweeping the nation. You have a massive Christian revival that is bringing young people back to faith and proving that in a world consumed by division and despair, that the light of Christ still cuts through. This weekend, thousands gathered on the National Mall for an appeal to heaven. It was a worship event that happened out on the National Mall, out in the DC area. But before we get into it, I want to read a couple super chats real fast. Shout out to Kiwan Lynette with the $5 super chat. Says the young man was en route to a funeral. We all have to make good decisions, especially when upset. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Kiwan Lynette with the $2 super chat. Says, who is voting for this? That's a great question. Thank you, C. Cook, for the $5 super chat. Says, they just might have medical providers flee and create another crisis. Yeah, highly probable. And thank you, Hunter, for the $10 super chat. Says, God help everyone in California. Democrats have single-handedly turned the state of California into a third world country. If he continues, he will make it the fourth world country as a state. Yeah, I just don't understand. I don't understand why people aren't out there like, just the AB 495 bill alone. I'm surprised that people aren't just like, what the heck is going on? Like they can just come take your kids. I'm very surprised. Very surprised that you don't have people out there just protesting and things of that nature, man. Thank you guys for the super chats. So down in DC this past weekend, you had thousands gathered, on the National Mall, for an appeal to heaven worship event. So think about this for a second. You had tents stretched out across the grass, people in jeans and hoodies singing, families worshiping together, no protest, no politics, just unity, hope, and heart turned toward God. Phenomenal. Phenomenal. I don't know if you guys had a chance to see it. I don't even know if you guys knew that this happened, but phenomenal. Hundreds packed into the National Mall Saturday night. Hundreds packed into the National Mall Saturday night, praying for healing, for justice, for a fresh start. And it's not an isolated moment. From Texas tent revivals to beach baptisms in California, the faith is breaking out across the country in a culture that preaches tolerance but cancels belief. This is rebellion with the Bible. Young people trading TikTok trends for timeless truth, realizing that in a world drowning in fentanyl, fatherlessness, outrage, Jesus isn't just a story, he's the anchor. And it's not just America. Over 17,000 baptisms in France this year alone, marking or making it the highest in 20 years. In the UK, church attendance among 18 to 24-year-olds quadrupled since 2018, with young men leading the charge. The message is clear. Structure, purpose, and faith are back. Even rock stars are filling in. On Bill Maher's podcast, British artist Youngblood stunned everyone by saying he's found Jesus. Proof that faith isn't fading, it's actually rising. And it's hitting a generation that's finally ready to believe again. I want you guys to see this.
These places just have a aura to them. And I'm not one of those touchy-feely guys. I'm an atheist. You know, I don't believe in religion.
Fair.
Why, you same thing?
You know, I don't know, man, because I was baptized.
Well, so was I. But
I was baptized as a kid.
An infant?
Yeah, like fucking 13.
Yeah, well, so you had no say in it.
I don't know, man. For me, like, my vibe is sometimes, like, I can't explain magic, especially being in a rock and roll band. The amount of magic that I don't know, come across or feel.
Right.
Or something that happens in my belly, or when you step outside in front of 20,000 people, or I just think it can't be just. I don't know if I want to believe in that's just it. Like, I feel like something somewhere there's a higher fucking power. That's what I think. That's my vibe. Like, I think I've seen too much love and magic and unexplainable shit. Like,
well,
I don't know.
Well, definitely unexplainable.
You know what I mean? Or like something's written. I don't fucking know.
Now, the youngin', he may not be into organized religion, but that doesn't mean that he's faithless. And when you're out there and you're seeing, you know, a lot of debauchery and you know, demonic foolery, you know, it does, you know, it starts to weigh on you. It starts to weigh on you. There's a difference between rejecting institutions and recognizing that there is a higher power. And honestly, you know, who are we to judge how someone finds their way to God? That's not for us. But the first step is realizing that there is something greater than yourself. And that surrender, that moment when pride gives way to humility, that's where the transformation starts to begin. And that's what makes this young man's story powerful. And right now you have young people today who are told that they are the center of everything. It's their truth, their story. You know, so when they have that type of influence, it does make it hard to admit when they need help. And seeing someone say, hey, faith gave me a way out, it shows that it's okay to let go and lean in onto something bigger. And God, he'll meet you where you are. And it doesn't shame you. He actually steadies you. And it shows up in small moments as well. Like that family who prayed with the struggling pizza driver. One act of kindness that went viral, raised over $500,000 and changed a life. That right there is faith in motion, simple, human, and powerful. It's little things. And a lot of times, sometimes it's just small steps.
Went wrong. One family's small act of kindness turned into a heartwarming moment much greater than pizza.
I screwed up. I'm sorry. I'm on my way back to get it right now.
And hey, and don't for 1 second feel bad.
Well,
we love you and Jesus loves you.
I'm just struggling because things have been pretty difficult lately.
Hey, girls, come here. We're going to pray for this really nice lady. Jesus, we thank you for Susanna. And Lord, I thank you that we crossed paths tonight. In fact, Lord, she's more important than any of these orders tonight.
Oh my gosh, I want to cry every time I see that video. The family from that viral video has since launched a GoFundMe campaign that has raised over $50,000 and counting for the woman that they prayed with that night. Oh my goodness.
Joining us now is Pastor Neil Seiwert. Pastor, thank you so much for joining us this morning, and what a beautiful moment. When in that moment, and we all experience these moments where there's a problem with a stranger. Was there a moment when you were about to say, we want to pray for you, that she was looking at you like, oh no, how mad is this guy going to be at me?
Yeah, you could tell that she was really anxious, really working hard to do everything she could do to make it right. And I just could tell that she was nervous about it. So I just told her, hey, don't worry about it for 1 second.
Yeah, and her reaction after your family, I mean, by the way, I just love that you brought the girls out and you said, hey, let's pray over this wonderful lady, and told her that, she was more important than any order. Of course she is. She cried. Tell me about that moment for you and for your daughters and for her.
Yeah, well, we love Jesus, and the Bible says that we're to forgive as we've been forgiven. And Jesus has forgiven me, Jesus has forgiven us, and we're called to shine our light. And so we can release forgiveness. And I just love bringing the girls in. That's not rare for Christian people to do. And we're just here to shine our light. So I'm so proud of my girls. We try and bring them in. We have a saying that says, we don't believe in the junior Holy Spirit. We believe Jesus can come in and use kids too. So I love bringing them in.
And Pastor, there's a lesson here. How important do you think it is that as this video goes viral for all the right reasons, that all of us recognize just how far acts of kindness and compassion can go?
Absolutely. Well, the Bible says that the kingdom of God is like a seed. And, we sowed one seed of kindness into Susanna's heart. And you can see all around the world what has happened. People are so inspired. And now we're raising money for Susanna. Great things are happening. And I think a lot of people are receiving hope. And I can only give glory to God for that, because all I did was sow a seed of kindness, and look what God has done.
Yeah, well, Mother Teresa said, do small things with great love. And you certainly did. And she is now the beneficiary of God's love, but also this wonderful GoFundMe that you set up for her. Thank you for reminding us about how we can shine God's light.
All from a wrong order.
All from a wrong order, exactly, in these everyday small moments that we encounter throughout our lives. Pastor, you really are a great evangelizer. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Pastor.
Thanks, Pastor.
Hey, thanks for having me. Have a great day.
You too.
I'm Steve Ducey.
That's an incredible story, man. Incredible story. Pastor Neil sees the delivery driver pull up, clearly stressed after a mistake. And instead of getting upset like so many people do, he says, don't worry about it. We love you. And Jesus loves you. And then he prays with her right there on the spot, asks the children to come get involved with this, which is phenomenal. And that simple act of kindness goes viral, inspiring people across the country to donate and to help this young woman get back on her feet. And Neil put it best, man. We sowed one seed of kindness, and look at what happened. And he's absolutely right. It's proof that small, genuine acts of kindness can spark something so much bigger. And it's moments like this that remind us that revival isn't just about big crowds or church stages. It's about real people showing love, grace, and forgiveness in everyday life. In a country divided the way that we are right now, that kind of faith still has the power to heal hearts and bring people together. We need more of this. We need more of this, man. Seriously. I want to do my best to try to bring more positive stories to you guys. Obviously we got to talk about what's going on, but there are some good things that are happening out there, man. And we need to be willing to talk about it. We need to bring it to the forefront, man, because you can easily get jaded by all the foolery that's happening out here, right? And you would think that, hey, man, there's no good people out there. And the reality of it is that majority of people are good. Majority of people want to do the right things, right? It's that small percentage, that dominate the headlines in this day and age. But I'm glad to see that you have young people giving their life to Christ, man, and trying to live according to his will. I'm glad to see it. I really am. Yesterday at church, man, I was blessed because, my nephews, had a multitude of my nephews, my wife's family is huge. I think my mother-in-law has over 30 grandchildren. It's a big family. My wife's number 7 of 8. So, anytime, there's a gathering, it's a lot of people. I mean, it's huge. But yesterday at church, my brother-in-law pulled up, and a few of my nephews, they pulled up, which was really, really good to see, because this was the first time that I probably saw them in a while, just due to the fact that we just don't see them as much because we don't live as close, as we used to. And it was good to see them. It really is. It was good to see them. And, it was good that they, got a chance to come in and worship and fellowship together. That was phenomenal, as well. So it was really good. And I'm happy to see that you have young men leading the way. You have young men out there who understand that in order for us to take our rightful place as leaders in the community, leaders in our families, we need to let it be known, and we need to have a full, real relationship with God. We need to submit to his will and let it be known that, hey, we are going to follow his divine plan, his divine order, because we understand that it works. I think a lot of the issues that we have going on in our country right now is that men, and myself included, men have not been on their square the way they're supposed to be. There was a time when men was the real true leaders, in the church and in the body of Christ. And we've gotten away from it, and it's still like that to this day. But I'm glad to see that things are starting to improve. I really am. Couple super chats I want to read real quick. Shout out to Papa Died with the $5 super chat. Says, why is tomorrow still Charlie Kirk's Day of Remembrance? They announced it a while back, but I haven't heard anything lately. From all the research that I have done, yes, tomorrow is Charlie Kirk's Day of Remembrance. If I'm not mistaken, October 14th was also his birthday. So I don't know. I haven't heard anything about any types of celebrations, or if anything, anybody's doing, specifically. I would assume that maybe Turning Point, and on the Charlie Kirk shirt, I'm assuming that they'll probably do something over there. But yes, technically, tomorrow is Charlie Kirk's Day of Remembrance. Shout out to, I believe this is AI. I could be wrong. But with the $2 super chat, says, churches shaking, sheep separated from the goats. Absolutely. Spaces with the $2 super chat says 30 grandchildren. That's a whole lot of. Well, most of the grandkids now are adults. We still got a few that are young. There's a handful that are young, but most of them are adults. Because let's see, my youngest son is 19, so he's an adult, although he's a young adult. And then I think the oldest grandkid is maybe 28, 29, somewhere in that range. Maybe not that old. Maybe 27, 28, somewhere in that range, somewhere in that range. But, and they're all, y'all wouldn't believe it. Oh, it's men. Oh, okay. Thanks, men. Thank you, men. I appreciate the super chat. I seen all the characters. I'm like, I did see men, but I wasn't for sure. 100%. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, men. And I'll tell you, man, all of these kids, they're all giants when they get together. All giants. And when I say giants, I'm talking about all of these dudes. It's mainly boys or young men at this point. It's mainly boys or young men. And when we get together, man, it's a house full of giants. All of these kids are, 6'2" plus, with a few of them, like my oldest son is 6'7". I think I told you guys this. My oldest son is 6'7", but, one of my nephews, he is around the same height, 6'6", 6'7", Aunt, he's about there as well, 6'5", 6'6", somewhere in that range. Yeah, everybody is 6'2" plus except for like one person, and he's the shortest, but he's like 6 feet. But he gets considered the runt. And he's actually the oldest of the grandkids, but he's the shortest. All of these kids are giants, man. So we get together, man. It's a group of tall people. It is crazy. It is crazy how many people, like even for me, and I'm a fairly tall individual, and I'm pretty, I'm a pretty tall individual. I'm only 6'2", but when I'm around them, I'm like, man, they make me feel small. It's crazy. Yeah, just a bunch of giants, man, when we get together. So of course, they're tearing up all the food, all of it. Kiwan said, who's the tall one, you or mom? Both. On both sides is tall, on both sides, so it's pretty wild, My youngest son is about 6'4". He's not as tall as his brother, but he's taller than me. Yeah. Yeah, Annie, it definitely is. It's a family of giants for sure. I'm sure we used to do a cookout at Sandy Point all the time. And you get together and play basketball and cook out and all this other kind of stuff. And people would be looking like, how is it everybody over here is just tall like that? Everybody? It's crazy. And now I see my little nephews who were once the babies. There's twins. There's twins, and then there's two boys that are like right next to each other. And the twins, they're now taller than me. So the twins are like 6'3" right now, which is crazy. Alrighty, folks, we're going to get ready to get up out of here, man. But I appreciate you guys pulling up this morning. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Appreciate you all. Thank you very much, man. Thank you to everybody that supported the channel financially. Shout out to all my blues. Thank you very much. I got to go take my dog out. He's yelling at me, letting me know like, hey, it's that time. It's that time. But I appreciate you guys, man. I hope you guys have a great start to the week. It is Monday, so enjoy the day. But let's make it a good one. And Lord willing, we'll be back at this thing tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Lord willing, we'll be back at it. I appreciate you guys, man. As always, man, keep God first. Stay prayed up. We'll catch up with you all next time. You guys take care, man. Peace.
We won't stop. I won't quit. Stand for the truth. No counterfeit. Real ones rise. Let the fake ones split. Repent for the lies. Let the darkness live.